I was very unhappy when I started university. I'd had such high expectations and everything was so much harder than I imagined it would be, to the point where I didn't even leave the house for several days. It got to a point where I almost quit my degree and my job. I put it off for a while as I was embarrassed and thought I was being silly, and everyone was in the same position. As everyone seemed to become happier, I just felt worse and worse.
I associate students with depression and maybe some emotional instability as well because of stress.
The ones I associate most with students would probably be anxiety or depression.
Loneliness and things like that, which then, can bring out depression.
From academic stress to loneliness, bereavement, family issues, relationship troubles, homesickness. Essentially, if a student might go through it, then London Nightline will have received a call about it.
I think it can be quite a hard adjustment for a lot of people. It's great to come to university, isn't it? You have academic freedom, you have freedom to not be living at home, tidying your room, etc. And some people thrive, and some people find that difficult to adjust.
I think it's like global, that there is a stigma, but I think it's improving slowly and gradually. I think it's important to raise awareness about this and to show that, some people think, oh, this person has depression, just get over it. But it's not as simple as that. It's a real thing. It's a real disease, and it must be treated as any other diseases.
I think people might not be able to fully understand what other students are going through. Obviously, each individual's experiences are their own, so it's quite hard to affiliate yourself with them. So rather than kind of a stigma against it, it's more of a lack of understanding, I'd say.
The reality is that it's 2015 and people are still afraid to talk about depression. And if they're afraid to talk about depression, then they're often afraid to talk about other issues like self-harm and suicide. People often still have misconceptions about depression, so for example that it's purely a mental illness, and that they don't realise that actually there's very physical realities to do with depression. It's something that universities need to face. It's something that us as a country needs to face because people are afraid to talk about mental health. It's such a taboo topic.
I think it's Ruby Wax, isn't it, that says that more people have depression than dandruff, but everyone is happy to talk about dandruff and you can buy products over the counter. As stigmatisation goes down, an ability to come and ask for help might go up.
In the past 4 years or so, mental health diagnosis is up 134%, which I think partially is to do with the fact that we're diagnosing it better.
I've never used UCL services for help with mental illness, but I know that two of my friends have used that, and one of them said that the psychologist was honestly useless because the only thing she could do is to listen to students to their problems but not actually help solve them.
So we don't tend to give callers advice for several reasons. Firstly, the caller might only choose to tell us certain aspects of their story, so it'll be inappropriate for us to give advice based on what we know. Secondly, if a caller wants advice, there's a million places they could go to. More often than not, a friend, a family member, another helpline even would be willing to give advice, which is what makes Nightline unique, because it's not there to tell someone what to do.
I feel like in the vast majority of cases there's never that much help provided by organisations for mental health, because people are often told if you suffer from mental health you have to go and find the help yourself, and someone suffering from mental health isn't likely to put themselves forward in that kind of way.
Nationwide, between 8 and 11% of students will avail themselves of psychological services. We currently have 7.2% of our student population will come and contact our service. That means we're slightly below average. That means that over 90% of UCL students are doing very well. So we're kind of one of those services. We're delighted when people come to us, but similarly, if they don't come, we're just as pleased.
I don't know that much about what UCL has to offer about mental health services. I know that you can book an appointment if you have a problem, I think.
Well, to be honest, I'm not actually well acquainted with the channels that one would go through to deal with mental health, and I maybe that shows that maybe there aren't, or maybe there are and they're not well publicised enough.
One of my friends in particular tried to contact them, I think about last October, and still hasn't gotten back to them.
I don't believe that getting access to us is a huge hurdle, and of course we obviously ask that in our feedback forms because we want students to come to us and ask for help, and so the feedback doesn't tell us that it's a particularly huge hurdle. It's
all about creating an open conversation, and the more open conversations about mental health we can create, the more opportunity there is for people to sort of become less afraid of it.